Olá, boa noite. O Exou Biribó, hoje com o vídeo 3 de Broken Sword, a Sombra dos Templários. Ontem, Nico e George se encontraram, pois o café em que o plantar marcou encontro era justamente aquele em que o turista americano passou a frequentar. Como o local foi explodido por bomba deixada por alguém fantasiado de palhaço, e o George quer encontrá-lo para que seja preso, Nicole, interessada na reportagem e no que plantar poderia saber, fez um acordo com ele de mútua ajuda, para que trocassem informações. O George, nos esgotos e entrevistando um senhor que tentou deter o criminoso, descobriu, por etiquetas, em que loja teria sido alugada a fantasia de palhaço e em qual alfaiate teria sido talhado o terno do assassino. Nicole foi bem mais longe e descobriu que Plantar também tinha acesso àquela sala dos fascistas e que seu pai também estava naquela foto na África com Carchon. Então ela ficou decepcionada que o pai dela estaria envolvido também naquela matança. Também descobriu que Imelda Carchon se comunicou com o Plantar dizendo que seriam eles os próximos alvos dos assassinos e que a filha de Thierry, que é a Nicole, depois que teve acesso à caixa forte e pegou a chave da sala, também estaria correndo risco. Talvez mais assombrada do que com a descoberta, ela ficou de saber da preocupação de Imelda, a rainha do gelo, com o risco de vida que ela, Nicole, estava correndo. Aí retomamos o jogo hoje quando George está chegando no apartamento de Nicole para que troquem as primeiras informações e discutam as pistas sobre o caso.
The woman was doing something with a pair of needles that couldn't be described as knitting.
A senhora está fazendo algo que pode ser descrito como tricotar. Vamos conversar com ela. Já que não temos o que fazer.
Oh, hi.
Bonjour, monsieur. Would you like me to foretell your future?
No thanks.
I'm very good. It only takes a minute.
Thanks all the same, but I'm not superstitious. Besides, if it only takes a minute, that's not much of a future to look forward to.
Ele não deve ter muito futuro, então nem quer saber. Mas já abriu aqui tudo para dar conversa. Nicole.
Do you know a young woman called Nicole Collard?
Yes, I do. She lives upstairs from me in the apartment block across the street. The door isn't locked, but you'll need to give it a gentle nudge. It sticks, you see, because of the damp. The landlord said he'd fix it before winter sets in. He's been saying that for 3 years.
Será que ela sabe as informações de todo mundo do prédio? Até sobre as portas meio úmidas, meio emperradas?
How long has Mademoiselle Collard lived here?
A few months. She's in for a shock when the cold weather comes. Drafty windows, insufficient heating. It's a struggle to keep warm. The only reason I stay is because the rent is cheap. Your young lady, she deserves better.
Essa jovem dama merece algo melhor, senhor.
I thought Mademoiselle Collard was a successful photographer.
Not as successful as she makes out for all her fine clothes. Oh, I've heard her crying herself to sleep at night.
That's awful.
Now don't you let on that I've told you. She's proud, that one. Too proud, if you ask me.
Orgulhosa demais pro meu gosto. Como sempre diz aquela que jamais disse isso.
Have you seen anyone out here watching Mademoiselle Collard's apartment?
Yes, I have. A strange man. Tall and thin as a broomstick. He kept his face hidden, but I saw his eyes peering from evil little slits.
How was he dressed?
A long brown raincoat with an hat.
Or like Humphrey Bogart?
Yes, but he didn't have Bogart's charisma. Besides, this guy looked like he needed a toilet. You never saw Bogart clenching his buttocks like that.
Então foi um homem magro, alto, de sobretudo e chapéu, já especulando no apartamento da Nicole também, além da pseudo-prima.
Is there anything else you can tell me about Mademoiselle Collard?
No, monsieur.
Não quer dizer mais nada.
Are the flowers for sale?
Oui, monsieur.
Okay. I'll take a bunch of those white ones.
I wouldn't do that if I was you.
No?
They are lilies, monsieur. Some people associate them with death.
Yikes. Thanks for telling me. What other flowers do you have?
Dahlias?
What do they signify?
Insecurity?
I don't want to give her the wrong idea about me. What about the tall yellow ones?
Those are iris, the flame of passion.
And the little yellow ones?
Sensuality.
Well, they're no use to me. I want to make an impression, not jump down her throat.
Não quero que ela se atire no pescoço. Quero só impressionar.
I've changed my mind. Will you tell my fortune?
You're going on a long journey.
My, oh my. What a surprise. Can you tell me anything I don't already know? How does this fortune-telling routine work?
If I knew that, I wouldn't be selling flowers for a living.
Haven't you ever wondered why you were blessed with the gift?
Well, it's a bit like satellite television, I suppose. Some of us are born with a built-in receiver dish. I just happen to be one of the lucky ones.
Can you really foretell the future?
Only time will tell, monsieur. The strange thing is, I can't seem to see myself in the future. Other people, I have no problem. But when I try to see what might happen to me, nothing.
That must be scary.
Maybe. I figure it's a kind of natural safety mechanism. Either that, or I don't have a future.
Ela só não consegue prever o próprio futuro. Vamos mostrar o abridor de bueiro aqui para ela.
What do you make of this tool?
Is it something a dentist would use?
No, it's for raising manhole covers.
Formidable.
Nariz de palhaço.
Do you recognize this nose?
No, monsieur.
Reconhece esse nariz, o lenço sujo.
What can you tell me about this tissue?
Nothing.
O tecido do terno do criminoso.
What can you tell me about this material?
It's a very expensive piece of cloth, monsieur.
Ela também sabe que esse tecido é
See you
muito
later.
caro.
That's right, monsieur. You will.
Aquele senhor que rasgou, que segurou a jaqueta, também sabia que era
It was the door to Nico's apartment.
um tecido caro.
Remembering the flower seller's advice, I pushed the door gently just above the lock.
Hi.
Bonjour. I'm glad you could make it, monsieur.
Please, call me George.
Fine. I'm Nicole. Take a seat, George. Eh bien? And what have you been up to?
I've been exploring the sewers underneath the cafe.
I thought I could smell something bad.
The clown used the sewer to escape and to change out of his costume. I guess he was in a hurry. He left his jacket behind.
And?
I got his tailor's phone number.
You had better luck than I did.
Luck, she said. Luck. Hard work, I'd call it. What happened?
My editor told me to drop this story. Can you believe it?
But you're not going to do that.
Oh, no. I'm going to find out what's behind these killings. It just doesn't add up. It almost feels like some sort of conspiracy. The police in 3 different countries have kept very quiet about the murders. The press don't connect them at all. They blame them on political, religious, or militant minority extremists.
Well, that covers just about everyone.
Ele vai perguntar dela, vai perguntar do palhaço. Melhor começar com o palhaço.
Tell me more about the clown's previous victims.
The first was Arno Bellotta, the millionaire pharmaceutical baron. He made his money from amphetamines in the post-war slimming and diet boom. Imagine it, millions of housewives literally speeding their butts off. The only witness in the case was his Filipino au pair. She swears he was lured to his death by a snowman.
What about the clown's second victim?
Yamada, the controversial Japanese politician. He inherited his fortune from his father's electrochemical consortium.
How did he die?
At the hands, or should I say flippers, of a giant emperor penguin.
A snowman, a penguin, and now a clown.
I had been about to add mime to the list, but stopped myself. I really didn't want to have to explain to George about my father's involvement with Cauchon.
You know, I hate to admit it, but this is scary. And I'll tell you this, I will not be accepting any invitations to costume parties.
I don't blame you for being scared. I am too. But this story could be my only chance for a big break.
Or an early death.
É, bilionário da indústria farmacêutica, o político verde japonês e agora o plantar. Isso na visão do George. Ela não quis falar do Carchon com o mímico, morto pelo mímico, para não falar da ligação do pai dela com o Carchon, mas que auxílio ela quer que um faça para o outro, fica guardando segredos. Não faça assim, Nicole.
Tell me more about yourself.
There's nothing much to tell.
Well, how'd you get into photography?
I guess I owe that to my father. He bought me my first camera. I was 8 and my parents had just split up.
Aos 8 anos ela ganhou uma câmera. E por que ele diz, me conte mais sobre você? Faça a pergunta-chave. Conte-me mais sobre Ogum Badagrum. Tem que aprender com o Gabriel Knight as perguntas-chave do mistério.
Did you live with your father?
Yes. My mother went off with her new boyfriend. I didn't mind. Papa was all I needed. 4 years later, he died in a plane crash.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I don't mind talking about him. He was more like an older brother, really. Always joking and laughing. Papa always wanted me to study art. That's why I went to college.
Did you learn about photography at college?
God, no. I couldn't afford the materials. We were billed for everything we used. Paint, canvas, paper. Most of my year turned to minimalism. It was cheaper. I used to go poaching in the park for squirrel hair. The only time I wasn't hungry was the term I did printing. I used to eat the potatoes.
You're making fun of me, aren't you?
Oh, no.
O que me diz desse destornilador de bueiro?
This is the tool I used to get into the sewers.
Fascinating, George.
You're not interested, are you?
Oh, of course I am. I think it was very brave of you to go down those sewers.
Yeah? Well, it was kind of scary, but, well, I had a job to do.
E esse nariz, o que você
I
acha?
found this false nose in the sewer.
Hey, was this inside it?
The contents of someone's nose?
Don't be cross, George. It says La Risée du Monde. Masks and costumes. It's a costume shop near the Gare Saint-Lazare.
I'll check it out. Maybe the owner remembers who hired the clown costume.
Ah, ele tinha que mostrar para ela dar o endereço. E agora o lenço sujo, não, melhor o tecido primeiro.
I found a piece of material near the cafe.
When I showed it to the concierge, he recognized it right away.
It's very distinctive, all right. Just wait until you see this. I developed the film I shot at the cafe. Here, George, it's an enlargement I made. Look what that guy's wearing.
Checkered pants. The same material as I found in the sewer.
That's right. This guy shouldn't be difficult to find.
Oh, no?
Take a close look at his right cheek.
A scar in the shape of a horseshoe.
Or a crescent moon.
Ela fotografou antes ali no café. O cara com essa calça e sem a jaqueta, sem o paletó do terno. Tá rendendo a investigação aqui.
How come you enlarged this photograph of me?
Because I noticed the guy behind you, of course.
Eu só fiz essa foto por causa do homem atrás de você, seu convencido. Mostra o lenço sujo agora pra ela, só de raiva.
I found this tissue down the sewer.
That's disgusting, George.
No. I think the stuff on it is grease paint, like actors use, or clowns.
It's still disgusting. Get rid of it.
Pelo menos a sujeira é de maquiagem, né? Como a
I
dos,
have to go.
Okay, I'll see you later.
como a dos atores ou palhaços. Agora ele tem alguma coisa nova para mostrar para a senhora? Tem a foto para perguntar se é esse cara.
Oh, hi.
Bonjour, monsieur. How's your girlfriend?
She's not my girlfriend.
Maybe not yet, but I see your paths entwined in the future.
I doubt it. Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
Oh, what a hunk.
He's a killer.
I can see that. His eyes stay tall.
Ah, pensei que ela ia dizer que era aquele mesmo cara.
See you later.
That's right, monsieur, you will.
Que pena. Tem a loja de disfarces aqui agora. Ah, La Risée du Monde. A risada do mundo. Fantasias.
It was an antique phonograph, the kind you have to wind by hand.
E agora vai tocar a marcha fúnebre inteira. Que macaco assustador esse aqui atrás. Unicórnio. Tigu ia gostar. Montado por uma caveira. Tem mais nada para olhar aqui. Acho que no jogo original tinha mais coisa para olhar e mexer. Ou estou confundindo com algum outro jogo que tinha loja de fantasia, talvez justamente a Ilha dos Macacos, algum das ilhas da Ilha do Macaco.
The guy's spoon-shaped face was mournful and humorless. He looked like a vegetarian in a slaughterhouse.
Cara na loja de fantasia, coisa de alegria, tem a maior cara de mordomo de filme de terror.
Excuse me.
Bonjour, monsieur. Please, come in. Welcome. Leave the mundane world behind, for in these four walls, fantasy is king.
I don't want a costume.
Didn't you ever dress up when you were a child?
Not that I remember.
Incredible! You'll be telling me next that you never shared your elder sister's lingerie.
I don't have a sister, and I think I'd look pretty silly in a brassiere. I just need some information.
Of course. How can I help you?
Como posso ajudar? Perguntar do plantar e do palhaço. Alguém alugou uma roupa de palhaço? Que...
Have you heard of a man named Plantile?
I do not recall anyone of that name.
Não lembra de ninguém chamado Plantar.
I'm looking for a man who hired a clown costume from you.
Oui, monsieur. I do not see how I can help.
Don't you keep a record of costumes that you've rented out?
Of course, monsieur, but...
Well, then, I'd like to check your records. Give me the names of everyone who's rented a clown suit.
Impossible. There are too many.
Muita gente aluga. Ah, depois ele vai mostrar a foto para perguntar se é aquele. Mas antes vamos fazer gracinha muito sem graça, mostrando as outras coisas.
What does this tool mean to you?
Nothing, monsieur.
Does this dirty tissue mean anything to you?
Let me smell that.
E o cara vai cheirar isso.
Bestheimer's number 7 white pancake.
Theatrical grease paint, right?
Oui, monsieur. La crème de la crème of Thespian accoutrement.
Have you sold any of it recently?
Yes, 2 cans.
Vendeu 2 potes dessa maquiagem que é a melhor do mundo. Melhor da face da terra. Ah, fala Ilha dos Macacos, aqui é o boneco do Guybrush Threepwood, não é? Parecido com ele. E este nariz de palhaço, o senhor conhece?
Do you want this red nose back?
Not after it's been worn, thank you.
Se o nariz foi usado, eu não quero devolução, não. Foto.
Do you recognize this man?
Ah oui, he was here this morning. That is the man to whom I sold the grease paint. I remember the scar on his face. He chose 2 costumes. Bozo the clown and Seamus the pixie.
A pixie?
Very smart. Green silk with a taffeta lining. He gave me his name as Monsieur Khan.
Agora ele já sabe então o nome. O assassino chique e rico que compra só do bom e do melhor é o Sr. Khan.
Thanks for your help, buddy.
My pleasure, monsieur. Allow me to shake you by the hand.
Huh? Well, okay. What are you trying to do, kill me?
You did not find it amusing?
I never saw the funny side of electroshock therapy.
Eh bien, it is yours to keep. A gift?
Do I need a license?
No, but I give you a word of warning, monsieur.
What?
Remember to switch it off before you visit the toilet.
Ele ganhou a maquininha de choque escondida na mão. Mas ele achou uma gracinha muito sem graça. E o vendedor ainda recomendou, não esqueça de tirá-la da mão quando for no banheiro, antes de ir no banheiro. Perguntar mais alguma coisa, não vai falar mais nada, né?
Oui, monsieur?
Até a foto de novo. E tem a apertar a mão. Vou apertar a mão dele. Não, perguntar da foto.
Are you sure this is the same man who hired the clown suit?
Certainement, monsieur K.
Me dá um aperto de mão aqui. Give me 5.
Do you want this buzzer back?
No, you keep it.
Claro que ele não ia ser
Thanks for your
trouxa.
help, buddy.
My pleasure, monsieur.
Vai embora. No café teria alguma coisa para fazer? Não, né? Posto de polícia pode me dar alguma novidade. Agora eu tenho que aumentar a temperatura lá dentro para o cara sair e eu mexer nos arquivos. Mas primeiro eu vou perguntar para o sargento se ele conhece Ogum Badagrum.
It was a search warrant for someone named Robert Overman. Not a name that I recognized.
Uma ordem de apreensão de alguém que ele não conhece.
Excuse me, Sergeant.
What do you want now?
Eu falo do Khan? Não, vou falar do inspetor. Ou falo primeiro do Khan e depois vou falar com o inspetor.
Do you know a man named Khan?
He's a shifty-looking guy with a scar on his right cheek.
No, monsieur. Has this man any connection with the bombing of the cafe?
Yes. I believe Khan was the name he used when he hired the clown costume.
What do you suppose this tool is used for, Sergeant Moo?
It looks like something an obstetrician would use, monsieur.
It was with tools like this that the clown made his escape.
I don't understand.
He opened up the hole and disappeared into the bowels of the earth.
If you say so, monsieur.
Conhece essa ferramenta? É algo utilizado por ginecologistas. Sargento é mais louco do que o Batman. E esse nariz de palhaço, o senhor conhece?
I found this red nose in the sewer.
What were you doing down there?
Fishing for clues. That's where the clown went.
You still insist you saw a clown, monsieur?
Of course. And this novelty nose proves it.
It will take more than a plastic proboscis to convince Inspector Rousseau.
You don't want this as evidence, then?
Certainly not, monsieur.
Do you recognize this dirty tissue?
No, monsieur, I do not.
I found it in the sewer.
Perhaps it would be better if you put it back there.
No way! This could be an important clue.
If you say so, monsieur.
Ai, deveria levar de volta pro esgoto.
Would you like to shake my hand, Sergeant?
Not while I'm on duty, monsieur. The gesture could be misconstrued.
Não vou dar a mão que o gesto podia ser mal interpretado. Estou em serviço.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, monsieur.
It's the guy who bombed the cafe. The clown.
This man looks nothing like a clown.
He's taken off his grease paint and costume.
Then there is nothing to link this man with the killing.
Nothing? Look at those murderous eyes.
Hardly likely to get him convicted.
Nada liga esse homem ao assassino. Ele não sabe que tudo no mundo tem uma ligação. Doido esse sargento. Posso ver então, inspetor Rousseau? Rousseau.
Is Rosso here?
Yes, he is. You wish to speak to him?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
One moment, monsieur. It's Stobart, monsieur. He insists on talking to you again.
Did he say what it was about?
No, monsieur.
Very well.
Mas eu vou do mesmo jeito.
Hi, Inspector. Remember me?
But of course, Mr. Stobart. My mind is a well-ordered faculty. A mental classification system that's the envy of the Bibliothèque Nationale. No tricks, mark you, monsieur. Just exercise. Just as our muscles waste through inactivity, so our minds decay. But there is no need. If only people would learn to exercise their wits daily.
If he was trying to impress me, it worked. He was pompous and patronizing, but he had style.
Eh bien, if you've called about the bombing, you're too late. Investigations have been closed.
But
I've been taken off the case.
what about the murderer, the dead guy?
It is out of my hands.
As autoridades superiores encerraram o caso, tiraram o rosto da investigação, coisas de Estado-Maior, segredos de Estado, conspirações superiores. E esse inspetor é um sábio, um homem de cavanhaque, não podia ser de outra forma. E plantar.
Did you find out the ID of the guy who was killed in the explosion?
I already knew who he was.
Sabia quem é?
I heard that the bomb victim's name was Plantar.
Your sources are reliable.
He was a big shot at the Treasury, wasn't he? Maybe that's why you've been taken off the case.
I'm sorry, monsieur. I cannot comment.
Era um peixe grande do Tesouro da França. E o Rosso está proibido de falar sobre isso e de levar o caso adiante e de tudo. E Monsieur Khan?
Don't you want to know what I found out about the killer?
I told you, monsieur, the case is closed. I have washed my hands of the whole affair.
Then I'll have to continue my investigations without your help.
No. You must forget the business of the Crown completely. Go back to being an ordinary tourist, Stobard.
So long, Inspector.
Para o inspetor eu não posso mostrar o inventário. Nada do inventário.
See you later, Sergeant.
Telefone.
It was a public telephone.
Falar com o alfaiate agora que eu sei que é o Sr. Khan, o freguês dele.
Hello? Who is this? Mr. Todrick? Oh, it's you again. What now?
The man I'm looking for is called Khan. He bought a suit from you, remember?
Mr. Khan. Yes, I remember him. Yes, I delivered the suit to his hotel. The Hotel Ubu. I don't remember the room number. It was upstairs. The second room on the right-hand side of the corridor.
Thanks, Todrick. That's all I wanted to know. Now I've got you, Mr. Clown.
Hotel Ubu. Não sei o número. Hotel Ubu. Tipos criminosos aqui na porta. Ou pelo menos suspeitos.
The guy looked just like a weasel. The man looked like an amiable Bigfoot.
Será que eu entro simplesmente ou será que eu tenho que falar com eles? Ou será que eu vou por trás ali? Primeiro eu vou tentar entrar direto. Aí entrei. Uma senhora tocando piano, aquele professor prêmio Nobel que aparecia no jornal.
The woman was obviously English. She had all the qualities of Boadicea, Elizabeth I, and Margaret Thatcher rolled into one. It wasn't a pretty sight. Hi there, ma'am.
Well, hello. What can I do for you?
I'm looking for a man.
You disappoint me, my dear. For one foolish moment I thought... But never mind. Aren't you going to tell me your name?
George Stobart, ma'am.
How sweet! I once had a stable boy called George. I am Lady Piermont. The common reaction is to kneel and stutter, but it's not obligatory.
A real lady? I mean, you're an honest-to-God aristocrat?
Oh, I don't know about that. Few of my ancestors are honest, not even to God. I can trace my family back to the Normans, but don't let that intimidate you, George. Beneath that impressive pedigree, I'm just flesh and blood. The blood may be blue, but the flesh is the plump beef of old England, so to speak. You appear distracted, George. Is there any way I can help you?
Posso te ajudar em algo, George? Perguntar desses dois ali na porta, são esses dois?
Did you know there's a gangster out front?
What makes you think he's a gangster?
The Italian suit and the bulge in his pocket?
I know plenty of men with Italian suits and bulges in their pockets. That doesn't necessarily make them gangsters.
Nem todo mundo é gangster. Fale-me da senhora, então.
Are you here in Paris on vacation?
No, darling, I'm on holiday. I needed to get away after Algy's funeral.
I didn't realize you were mourning the loss of a loved one.
I'm not. He was my husband.
Não estou de luto. Quem morreu era meu marido, Horace.
I'm sorry to hear about your husband's death.
You wouldn't be if you knew him, my dear. It gave me the opportunity to take a well-deserved holiday. Daphne suggested a change of scenery. Paris, she said. A wild romance is just what you need to take your mind off the inquest. Well, the closest I came to romance was being wooed by a drunken Breton chef. I must say I was disappointed with his coq au vin. Not at all what I was expecting. I was thinking of cutting my holiday short, packing my bags and heading back to Hemel Hempstead. That was until last night.
What happened to you last night?
I was stricken, Mr. Stobart. Cupid's arrow has cleft my bosom.
They couldn't really miss.
It was just as I'd always imagined it should be. The intimacy of candlelight, romantic music tinkling across the room, and then a stranger's glance. Those brooding eyes, that suave manner, those tight trousers. He was the man I'd been waiting for all my life.
I'm glad he finally turned up after all these years.
Ah, but it wasn't to be. He was merely toying with my affections. And if I ever catch up with him, he's dead.
Ela se apaixonou, o cara sumiu. Ela põe as mãos nele de novo, mata.
Who was the guy who led you on?
His name is Merlin.
I'm looking for a murderer.
Good heavens! You're a private detective.
That's correct, ma'am.
What's the term you Americans use? It's on the tip of my tongue.
I believe what you're thinking of is Dick.
Precisely.
Have you come across a man who calls himself Khan?
I am familiar with only one person named Khan.
Genghis Khan, the legendary Mongol barbarian chieftain?
No, darling. Kevin.
Kevin Khan? I never heard of him.
I'd be most surprised if you had, darling. He's a pharmacist in Hemel Hempstead. Organises fundraising for the Rotarians. Lovely man.
Does he have a scar on his cheek?
I really wouldn't know, sweetie.
O único Khan que ela conhece é o farmacêutico lá em Londres. Vou lhe mostrar então aqui a ferramenta de bueiro.
Can you think of any use for this tool, ma'am?
I can think of someone I'd like to use it on.
E esse nariz de palhaço?
Do you know what this is?
At a guess, I'd say it was a clown's nose.
That's right. It was worn as a disguise by a vicious killer.
Good heavens, are you trying to alarm me?
It's true. He uses the name Khan. Does this tissue mean anything to you?
I'm no shrinking violet, but that object makes me feel quite queasy.
Vamos, me dá aperto de mão aqui, senhora.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
My God, it's him! That's Merlin.
She represented everything I loved about the English. The lady was totally deranged. Merlin? You mean King Arthur's wizard?
Good heavens, no! Monsieur Merlin is a fellow guest. He's the man I've been telling you about. That's the man who spurned me.
O homem que a desdenhou, Sr. Merlin. Na verdade, o Khan. Ou Khan ou Merlin, ou Merlin Khan.
The man you know as Merlin is a fake.
What do you mean, sweetie?
He's a murderer. He also uses the name Khan.
I am shocked, Mr. Stobart. Shaken. I took him to be a gentleman, a man of honor. Do you know, I'd rather like to assist you in stitching him up.
Adoraria ajudá-lo a prender esse cara.
When did you last see Merlin?
It was no more than an hour ago. He came downstairs and spoke to that clerk chappie. Something passed hands. I couldn't see what exactly.
A briefcase?
No, smaller than that. A bundle of papers, perhaps. The clerk put it in the hotel safe and Merlin went out.
Merlin passou alguma coisa, guardou na caixa forte. Isso há 1 hora atrás.
Are you sure you saw Merlin putting documents in the safe?
Yes, darling, positive.
I wonder what they were.
Obviously something of great importance.
Yeah. I'd sure like to get my hands on whatever it is. I'll bet they had something to do with Plantow's briefcase.
Tem algo a ver com a carteira de plantar, com a valise do plantar.
Has Merlin returned to the hotel?
No, he hasn't. Are you going to search his room?
If I could get in there, I would.
Então me dá aperto de mão.
I just couldn't bring myself to use the buzzer on this dear lady.
Com essa amável senhora eu não vou fazer isso. Ele tem mais consideração do que eu, que pensei em fazer isso e até tentei. Vamos ver o senhor do Nobel aqui.
I recognized the guy. It was the Nobel Prize winner from the country whose name I couldn't pronounce.
Excuse me, didn't I see your picture in the news? You're that Nobel Prize winner from some unpronounceable Eastern European state.
Yes, that is me, in person.
I don't want to worry you, but have you had any threats on your life? You know, mysterious phone calls, letters made up of headlines cut from the newspaper.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Conhece o senhor Plantar?
Do you know a guy called Plantow?
I don't know anybody in Paris.
Oh, well, this guy's dead anyhow.
Why do you ask me about dead men? I have seen enough of death to last me a lifetime.
I'm, sure you have.
E o palhaço? O senhor conhece palhaço?
Have you seen a clown?
I beg your pardon?
The clown. A guy in funny pants. Have you seen him?
My pants are from England. Marks and Spencer. They are a pleasure and a comfort to wear, with much support.
I'm real glad to hear that. You know, it's good to know you Nobel Prize winners are human too.
In my country, the people make do with string and egg cartoons.
For pants?
For everything. Oppression is the mother of ingenuity.
E o senhor, que é Nobel, de certo sabe para que é essa ferramenta.
Have you any idea what this tool might be used for?
I cannot guess.
Would it mean anything if I told you it was for lifting drain covers?
Such technology fills me with wonder.
Tecnologia é maravilhosa. E esse nariz de palhaço?
What does this clown's nose suggest to you?
In my country, we have no use for clowns.
I'm glad to hear it.
They were dealt with most severely in the last cultural cleansing.
What about the mimes? Did you get them too?
All gone. Our streets are mime-free.
Sounds like heaven.
E esse pano sujo?
Does this goo-smeared tissue mean anything to you?
No, it doesn't.
E este senhor, o senhor conhece?
Do you recognize this man? He calls himself Khan.
Yes, I know this man. Why do you carry his photograph?
I'm a private detective.
Vamos falar do Khan, então.
What's your interest in Khan?
He is an enemy of my people.
You know he's a killer.
Of course, amongst other things.
É inimigo do povo do professor Nobel.
Would you help me investigate Khan?
That is not possible. My instructions are to observe. I cannot jeopardize my position as an honored guest of this country's government.
Ele não pode ajudar na investigação porque está aí como convidado do governo francês.
May I shake you by the hand?
I do not shake the hands of imperialist dogs.
Now that's a real bad attitude problem you've got there.
Não aperta a mão de cachorros capitalistas, imperialistas.
Thanks for your help.
Goodbye.
Sorte dele, que senão ia levar o maior choque da face da terra. Dá para vir aqui pegar os papéis do Khan?
Hanging from a brass hook was a key and a plastic tag.
Uma chave. É claro que ele não pode pegar.
It was the register of guests staying at the hotel.
Registro de hóspedes. Vamos olhar. O cara não vai deixar, né?
The clerk wore a disdainful expression, like he'd been born with it.
O empregado tem uma expressão desdenhosa.
I want some information.
Who are you? The police?
I'm conducting a private investigation.
Ah, I know only too well what you mean. That is one of the drawbacks of the catering business. When people book into an hotel, they leave their morals at home, no?
Pensa que está investigando algum caso de adultério, como é comum os investigadores particulares irem nos hotéis perguntar.
I'm looking for a man who dresses like a clown.
This is a highly respectable hotel, monsieur. There are no clowns here.
If you say so.
Plantar.
Do you know a man named Plantar?
No, monsieur.
O que é isso daqui? Ping-pong? E Monsieur
Do you have a guest by the name of Khan?
No, monsieur. Perhaps you would care to check the register.
The man who calls himself Khan has a scar on his right cheek.
Vraiment? I tell you, I do not know a man named Khan.
Maybe not, but I noticed a change in his expression when I mentioned the scar.
Ele mudou a expressão quando falou da cicatriz.
I'd like to retrieve something from your safe.
Ah, oui, monsieur. May I see some form of identification?
Like what?
A driving license, perhaps?
I don't drive.
Your passport?
I don't have it with me. I could show you my operation scar.
I'm sorry, monsieur. I must have some form of unique ID.
You won't find a more unique ID than my scar.
I'm sorry. I must insist on a more traditional identification.
Rats.
Algum documento de identificação para poder retirar a coisa do cofre. Não só. Posso tirar a coisa do cofre? Por favor. Conhece essa ferramenta?
What do you make of this tool?
Stunning, monsieur. I bet you handle it like a professional.
Esse foi o mais engraçado. E este nariz?
Do you recognize this red nose?
No, monsieur.
What do you make of this tissue?
Do you wish me to dispose of it for you, monsieur?
Hey, no! It could be useful. I'm holding on to this.
As you wish, monsieur. Perhaps you would like a little plastic baggie to keep it in?
Nah, it's fine the way it is.
A foto.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
Yes, monsieur. That man is one of our guests.
What name?
I cannot tell you that.
It's Merlin, isn't it? Alias Khan, the clown.
I told you, I cannot tell you that.
Não posso dizer. Então me dá um aperto de mão.
Hey, shake my hand.
I'd rather not, monsieur. I'm still sore from the shock administered by one of the guests. He was secretly concealing an electrical device in the palm of his hand. Practical jokes are so puerile, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Não vou dar a mão porque já levei um choque de um hóspede com piada boba, gracinha muito sem graça, de carregar um aparato na palma da mão que descarrega choque. Vamos olhar o livro então, tentar.
There was no one registered under the name of Khan, but the name in the book for room 22 was Merlin.
Habitação 20, Merlin. Então, ele podia olhar assim, já descobriu que o quarto é o 20.
Excusez-moi, monsieur.
What?
You were trying to steal that key, no?
No way.
Claro que eu não estava tentando roubar.
The sign on the door read 21. If the tailor's description was correct, this was the killer's room. The sign on the door read 22. The sign on the door read 22. The door was locked.
Fechada com chave.
The door was locked.
E a porta do lado também fechada com chave. E nenhuma fechada com chave de ouro, como faria uma piada inevitável aquela que jamais fez essa piada. Falar com ele e pedir a chave do vídeo.
What now, monsieur?
About the key hanging on the hook over there.
Oui, monsieur.
Which room is it for?
Number 21.
Is that room taken?
No. The guests checked out this morning.
É só você se registrar aí, pagar o quarto, uma fortuna que deve ser, e ficar vizinho do canto.
I'd like to check into room 21.
That is not possible.
How come? You said it was vacant.
It is reserved for another guest.
Rats.
No, monsieur. Dutch.
Duque já reservou esse quarto. Pelo menos o George teve a mesma ideia que eu. Ele também é um gênio.
I believe Khan, the man with the scar, is also known as Merlin, the man who has taken room 22.
What of it? What do you want?
Access to his room.
Do you have a license, monsieur?
Huh?
A private investigator's license?
Well, not exactly, but I can explain everything.
I am sorry, but without credentials, I cannot help.
Como é que ele vai entrar no quarto?
I insist you give me the key to Merlin's room.
I cannot do that, monsieur.
This guy Merlin is a menace.
So you say, monsieur.
He's not only a danger to society, but to your guests as well. He has toyed with the affections of Lady Piermont.
Ciel! Are there no depths to which he will not sink?
Precisely. He's already killed once, twice, maybe as many as 3 times. With your help, I just might be able to stop him.
But what if he finds out I have helped you? No, I cannot do it.
O que poderá ajudar, então? Se eu disser para a senhora fazer algum escândalo, alguma coisa, ir lá brigar com o cara para achar o Merlin.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello, George. What can I do for you now?
Eu preciso de uma chave.
Would you distract the clerk while I borrow a key?
Are you asking me to aid you in a criminal act, darling?
Oh, no. It's the key to an empty room.
And why, may I ask, do you wish to gain access to an empty room? Do you plan to squat?
No, ma'am.
Scouts honor?
I was never in the Boy Scouts, ma'am.
Oh, you should have been. What were your parents thinking of? It's a fine way for a boy to get licked into shape. Now tell me, why do you want to get into that room?
It's next to the room the killer is using.
Ah, so you plan to eavesdrop on Merlin?
I was hoping there might be a connecting door.
Well, how can I refuse? I shouldn't think my feminine charms would be much use in this case, but a good dose of English arrogance might do the trick.
Os encantos femininos não vão dar certo, mas um pouco de arrogância inglesa dá resultado.
I say! You there? Flunky!
Oui, madame.
Listen carefully. You do understand English, don't you?
But of course, madame.
Good. I wish to deposit some jewellery for safekeeping.
I understand.
Are you quite certain?
Oh, bien sûr, madame.
Over to you, my dear.
Maybe it wasn't the right room, but this was the right key.
Abrir a janela, né? Vamos por fora. Já que não tem porta interna. Tá que nem o Gabriel Knight no clube de caça. Quarto do Khan, se é que ele calculou direito.
The cabinet had no drawers, just a single door. The assassin had been too smart to leave incriminating evidence beside his bed.
O criminoso não ia deixar as provas do lado da cama. Embaixo do travesseiro, então.
The bed was several times larger than the narrow cot I'd been given at the place I was staying. The bed was freshly made, and the crisp white sheets told me nothing about the killer's habits.
Achou alguma coisa.
It was the battered leather briefcase I'd seen Plantar carrying just before he died. I searched the interior of the briefcase, but, as I'd half expected, it was empty.
A valise do Plantar, mas vazia. Já tiraram os documentos.
The closet was a solid, impressive piece of antique furniture.
Não tem nada para pegar ali, então.
It was Khan. I had the kind of feeling in my stomach that would usually send me running to the bathroom. As Khan opened the wardrobe, I was sure I was dead. But he grabbed his pants quickly and didn't even see me. I didn't usually spy on men getting changed. But this guy was a killer, and I didn't want any surprises. He left his checkered pants on the bed.
Não costumo olhar homens se vestindo, se trocando, mas esse era um assassino, era melhor não ter surpresa. Então ele deixou alguma coisa na calça aqui. Documento, identidade. Tá tudo sujo aqui que ele andou nos esgotos. Pelo menos presumo, né? Eu acho, diria Tigo.
There was no bulge in the pocket. I had that kind of feeling you only get from searching still warm pants. The pocket was empty.
Neste outro é que tem alguma coisa.
I wondered if the guy was colorblind. There was nothing in the pocket. A strip along the side seam of the pants had been unpicked, then sewn back up with strong thread and a special stitch. I flipped the pants over.
Tinha que virar a calça.
It looked like there could be something in this pocket.
Nesse bolso tem algo.
I found an ordinary matchbook. No matches, no clues. But as I pulled it from the pocket, a strong thread came with it. A thread with a metal tag on the end.
Fio saía do bolsinho. Tem que puxar esse fio. Aqui tem uma coisa metálica.
I pulled on the metal tag and the thread came out of the pants. It was like pulling out a ripcord.
Tá, agora deve ter descosturado aquele bolso da frente.
I turned the pants over again.
Aqui.
I searched the pocket gingerly and found a pass card. It read Thomas Merlin, Gruber Electronics Corporation.
Agora então ele tem documento para pegar coisa. Quero retirar meus papéis.
What now, monsieur?
Does this pass mean anything to you?
That is Monsieur Merlin's property.
That's right. Merlin the murderer. I want to see what he's left in your safe.
Impossible. I cannot betray his confidence, no matter what you say he's done.
You're making a big mistake.
Maybe. I can live with that. A murderer? Are you sure?
Positive.
Então não adiantou, não deu certo.
Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
No, monsieur.
Do you recognize this key?
That is the property of the Hotel Ubu.
Correct.
May I ask how it found its way from the little hook to your pocket?
Would you believe it was put there by a poltergeist?
No, monsieur. The hotel is regularly serviced by an exorcist. If we had a ghost, Father Fécond would have flushed it out.
I suppose you want the key back.
Not especiellement. The room is vacant. Since you are so determined to conduct your little investigation, I won't stop you.
Did I show you this pass?
Oui, monsieur.
E agora, como é que ele vai pegar a coisa?
Hello again.
Tem que ver com essas pessoas aqui.
This is a photo of Khan, right?
That is just one of the names by which he is known.
Do you recognize this key?
No, I do not.
Mas tem uma igual, você não tem uma igual? Esse aqui ele vai saber.
Does the name on this matchbook mean anything to you?
Indeed it does, for Alamut was the home of the old man of the mountains. You do not know him?
No, I don't. Do you recognize this card?
No, I do not.
Thanks for your help.
Goodbye.
A senhora pode me ajudar de novo?
Hi, ma'am.
Hello, George. What can I do for you now?
Se a senhora for pegar suas joias e aproveitar e pegar os papéis do outro que estão no cofre.
This is the key to room 21.
That's next to the room taken by that rotten Merlin, isn't it?
Yes, and it's vacant.
Really? How convenient.
Maybe it was my imagination, but I had an uncomfortable feeling about this situation. Yeah. I found this matchbook in Merlin's bedroom.
It came from the Club Alamut. It might be useful to find out if that club is in Paris, George.
I found this pass in Merlin's room.
So, that deceitful little man is passing himself off as an electrician, is he?
Uh-huh. This guy probably has a million faces. I showed the pass to the clerk, hoping he'd give me Merlin's papers, but he wouldn't buy it. He's too scared.
I'll give him something to be scared of. Follow me, George!
Ah, é ela sim que vai salvar a situação. Santa Senhora.
Did you place a package from Merlin in the hotel safe?
I did, madame.
And did my friend here show you Merlin's identification?
Indeed he did, but...
What's the problem?
He isn't Merlin.
A mere academic detail. Give him the package.
But that is against the law.
I happen to be a justice of the peace, you silly man. I am the law. If he tries anything, shoot him, George.
My pleasure, Lady Piermont.
One moment, please.
You know, I haven't enjoyed myself this much since Greenham Common.
I don't know what I would have done without you, Lady Piermont.
Voilà, monsieur. Le manuscrit de Monsieur Merlin.
Thanks.
How satisfying. An Anglo-American alliance that actually worked.
The clerk had given me a tightly rolled sheet of parchment. I decided not to unroll it until I was safely back in Nico's apartment.
Eu não ia abrir a documentação antes de estar de volta no apartamento da Nico. Agora, se eu for sair pela frente, os gorilas vão me pegar e catar os documentos de volta.
I couldn't leave the hotel with the manuscript. It was probably what those thugs were looking for.
É. Jogar pela janela e pegar pelo beco. Por isso que dá para entrar pelo beco ali embaixo. Lembram quando eu cheguei que tinha a entrada pelo beco?
I knew this was no way to treat an ancient manuscript, but I couldn't let it fall into the hands of the goons waiting outside.
Ainda bem que não caiu dentro do esgoto ali, do bueiro, e foi pro esgoto que ele ia ter que fazer outra excursão mal cheirosa. Então agora vamos embora. Muito obrigado, senhora.
Just a minute, monsieur.
What's your problem?
No problem, if you cooperate.
What do you want?
Just a routine security check. Nothing to worry yourself about.
Oh, well, all right.
Search him, Flap.
You bet.
Hey, knock it off. Get off, you big ape.
Nothing, Guido. Zilch.
Our apologies, monsieur.
What? I had to report you to the authorities.
Round here, we are the authorities.
You want I should break his arms?
No. Let him go, Flap.
Aqui nós somos as autoridades, não adianta denunciar para ninguém. Vamos lá pegar o manuscrito.
If the manuscript was what Flap and Guido were after, they were going to be disappointed. I couldn't wait to get back to Nico's apartment and check it out. Hi, how are you?
Oh, hi. Come in, George.
What are you doing to help trace the killer clown?
Research, George.
Yeah? You have a copy of the clown's yearbook?
I have a telephone and lots of contacts.
Oh, well, did you find anything useful?
Not yet. I'm employing my first and most useful weapon.
What's that?
Patience.
Oh, I've heard of that. Isn't it a substitute for decisive thinking?
Paciência é o substituto das decisões. Clube da procrastinação.
Do you have a boyfriend?
Not anymore. There was someone. A guy in my final year, but it didn't work out. Neither did my degree.
I'm sorry.
I'm not.
Tell me more about your family.
When I was a little girl, I used to spend the winter with my grandfather and grandma. They were the best times, warm and safe in their tiny cottage. My grandfather rolled cigarettes while grandma made hot chocolate and cakes. One day, he stopped his scrolling. He put the lid back on his tobacco jar and took me in his arms. I laughed and wriggled, but he hushed me to be silent. With his unshaven chin all scratchy in my ear, he told me his secret.
What did he say?
He said, I don't smoke, but she likes to think I do.
What a weird old man.
Don't call my grandfather weird. He was the nicest guy ever. I wish I was back in that cottage instead of this crummy apartment in this noisy city.
Me dá aperto de mão, Nicole. Aproveitando que você não tem namorado atualmente.
Hey, Nico, shake hands with me.
No chance, Buster.
Sem chance, cara.
I found this matchbook in the killer's hotel room. It's from the Club Alamut.
Never heard of it. Is there anything written inside it?
No, what were you expecting?
If this was a movie, there'd be a clue. A name or an address. That's no use. There aren't even any matches in it.
Oh well, I'll keep it as a souvenir. I found this in the killer's room.
What is it, a credit card?
ID, Thomas Merlin, of the Gruber Electronics Corporation.
Never heard of him or the company.
You're just not going to believe what I found.
It's not another part of the clown's costume, is it?
It's a medieval manuscript. Khan left it in the safe at the Ubu.
It's incredible. Is this what he took from Plantark?
It could be, which means it's worth enough to kill for.
Look there, two guys on the same horse.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they couldn't afford one each. What of it?
Have you ever heard of the Knights Templar? Their official seal was an image of two knights sharing a horse. Whatever this manuscript means, it's connected with the Templars.
How come you know about these knights?
I learned about them while writing an article on the Crusades.
Un hombre llamado Hughes de Payenne llegó un día a la corte del rey de Jerusalén. Se ofreció a proteger a los peregrinos cristianos de las fuerzas musulmanas desplazadas. El rey podía garantizar a los cristianos un tránsito seguro en Tierra Santa. Viajes más seguros suponían más peregrinos, y los peregrinos suponían comercio y riqueza. Los templarios demostraron ser una ayuda inestimable para el rey como ejército mercenario. Se decía que nunca preguntaban el número de enemigos, sino solo dónde estaban. Y con el paso de los años, los templarios crecieron en número y riqueza. Eran tan ricos que incluso los reyes les pedían préstamos. Pero en el cenit de su poder, cayeron en desgracia del rey de Francia. Los acorraló y los entregó a la Inquisición. El tipo responsable de su caída fue Felipe IV, el rey de Francia. Por supuesto, en manos de la Inquisición no habría mucho que no confesaran. El último gran maestro, Jacques de Molay, fue...
Jeez. So the treasure is hidden, waiting to be discovered?
If there ever was a treasure, it's been lost for 600 years. Anyway, we're supposed to be investigating a serial killer, not a medieval treasure trove.
But maybe that's what the clown and his accomplices are after. Maybe this manuscript is the key.
You'd better leave it here for safekeeping.
Sim, cortou. Eu não mexi em nada aqui, cortou o vídeo da explicação. Mas pelo que eu lembro, depois daquilo não tem muito. Jacques de Molay foi o último grande mestre dos Templários, foi morto numa praça da França, de Paris, na fogueira. Mas a história é que os Templários protegiam os peregrinos, ganhavam dinheiro com isso e acabaram ficando tão ricos, mais ricos do que os reis. Daí um dos reis os entregou para a Inquisição como hereges, e daí um a um deles foram julgados, mas o tesouro deles nunca foi encontrado. Então, a conclusão do George e da Nicole é que os assassinos devem estar atrás do tesouro dos Templários.
Let's take another look at the manuscript.
Look there, 2 guys on the same horse.
There's a guy with a sword and a bull.
The only mythological bull I know of is the Minotaur, but he was only half bull.
I don't think I'd like to be half a bull, even if it was the bottom half.
What's that object between them?
It looks like a gem on top of a tripod. There's a guy working on a loom. He's weaving a carpet or a tapestry.
Or a duvet cover. It's a clue to a place, I reckon. Somewhere famed for weaving and ships.
Where folk live in barrels?
It beats copper boxes.
A knight with a crystal ball. Now, there's something written on the scroll beside the knight.
Yes, but it's written in Latin. Per disciplinam mea lux videbis.
By my teachings, you will see the light.
You speak Latin? Where did you learn a trick like that?
A trick? I studied law, okay? I can read Latin.
My, you're touchy. Tell me that again.
Ele estudou direito. Com meus ensinamentos encontrarás a luz.
There's a woman looking at her reflection in a mirror, but the reflection has 3 hideous faces.
She reminds me of the wicked queen in Snow White.
She was the one who said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall," wasn't she? She made me cry so much when I was a kid. Mom carried me out of the movie theater.
She didn't frighten me in the least.
Like I said, I was only a kid. I didn't like the crocodile in Peter Pan either.
Let's face it, we need help, George. Someone who knows about these things.
Who do you suggest? Indiana Jones?
I know a guy who specializes in medieval studies. His name is Lobino.
Huh. Some stuffy old fossil who gets horny over ancient relics, I suppose.
Far from it. Andre isn't the stereotypical professor you have in mind.
Where can I find this Lobino guy?
At the Krone Museum. I'll give you the address.
I have to go.
Okay. Don't forget to look for Lobino at the Krone Museum.
Então, por enquanto é isso. Hoje vamos ficando por aqui. O Exou Biribó, agradecendo a presença, o apoio, as dicas, a torcida, desejando boa noite, até amanhã. Por enquanto eu fui.